unmute yourself, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, madam, for that kind introduction. Now let us start with today's topic. Today's topic is leadership skills for teachers. Okay, so this is my presentation, leadership skills for teachers. Now let us try to understand what this presentation is all about. Next slide. Yeah, these are the contents of my presentation. The first one is definitions. Next is teachers and leaders, qualities of skills of a leader, managing leadership, teachers as leaders, tips for teachers, and last, case studies. Now let us start with definition. Now, what are leadership skills? First, let us try to understand the term leadership skills. Okay. So, what is a skill? Skill is the ability to use knowledge effectively to execute and perform a task. Now, whenever there is a task, many people just do it, isn't it? But some people do it better. Why do they do it better? Because they have skill. So, the ability to do something in a better way, to execute something in a better way, in the optimum way, is called skill. So, that is skill. Now, let us try to understand what is leadership. Leadership is ability to influence and guide an organization or a society. Now, leadership is able to influence a group of people or a society or an organization. You take the most important role in that organization and you try to do what is best for them. You try to take them forward. That is called leadership. Okay. So, leadership skills means ability to lead in a better way. Okay. Yeah. Now, there are many teachers who are also leaders in our history. Now, if you remember, teachers are called nation builders because they build not just one profession. Teaching is one profession which can build many professions. We are the backbone of the country, isn't it? So that is why we can proudly call ourselves nation builders. Now, teachers as leaders, I have given you some names. The first and foremost, of course, is Chanakya, who is also called Kautilya, the author of Arthashastra. He was the pioneer of economics in India, and he also expounded a lot of theories about political science. He was the famous teacher of Chandragupta Maurya, who established the Mauryan Empire in India. So Chanakya comes to my mind first. And then, of course, we have Confucius, who is from China, whose Confucianism still is very, very popular in China even today. Next comes to our mind is Anne Sullivan. Who is Anne Sullivan? Anne Sullivan is a blind woman who became blind by accident because of some disease, but she taught herself Braille. She went to school, got herself trained, she learned Braille language, and then she started teaching another child who is none other than Helen Keller, who went on to become one of the greatest writers. So Helen Keller is a very inspiring character because she was deaf, dumb, and blind, but still she was able to read, write, and she wrote so many books also, isn't it? So Anne Sullivan is the teacher of Helen Keller. Okay, and next is Maria Montessori. Montessori, I think all of you are familiar with the term Montessori. That term is usually associated with teaching preschool kids. Most of the teaching for preschool kids is based on her methods. So Maria Montessori was the first teacher who started teaching preschool kids, and she developed many methods for that. And next is Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, I think all of you are familiar with him. is the Nobel Prize winner from India for his beautiful work, Gitanjali. And he is also known to have established a beautiful school called Shantiniketan, where he propagated open air education. He wanted students to sit in open air, follow the Gurukula method, and learn. So he was very famous for that, and he also wrote our national anthem, isn't it? And next is none other than Radhakrishnan. S. Radhakrishnan, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan served as the President of India also, but he was well known as a teacher before that. He taught in Madras Presidency College and for some time in Karnataka also. And his birthday is celebrated as Teacher's Day. And next, Savitri Bai Phule, she is from Maharashtra. She got married at a very young age. She was an illiterate. She got education from her husband and she went on to become a great teacher, and she worked tirelessly for women's education. If all of us, we women, are studying today, it is because of the hard work of people like Savitri Bai Phule. So we should remember her always. And next is none other than Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda is more of a spiritual teacher. He taught Vedantic philosophy and he popularized Vedantic philosophy in other countries also. Because I think all of you know that he went to the Parliament of Religion in Chicago and he was well appreciated there. And next is Abdul Kalam, the missile man of India. He was well known for his scientific achievements as the chief of ISRO and also the chief of DRDO. But Kalamji always told, he was very humble, isn't it? And he always told that though he worked in many jobs, the job he always loved and cherished was teaching job. So he was a teacher who went on to become a leader. He became the president of India, isn't it? And last but not the least, Peter Tabichi. Now, Peter Tabichi, most of us may not have known him, but he is from Africa. Africa, I think all of you know that is unfortunately one of the underdeveloped continents even today. So education was very difficult in that area, especially because the area was predominantly with tribes who were warring with each other. Now, Peter Tabiachi united these different tribes of people and tried to give them some education. And it was a very hard task, but he was able to accomplish it. And he became well known for his efforts towards popularizing education in Africa. So these are the leaders, these are the teachers who we should look up to, who are all inspirational figures. Next, yeah. So what are the qualities that make a leader? Let us try to understand that. Now, all the people who I have talked about previously in the previous slide, all those people possess these qualities, which I am going to explain now. These are the qualities that made them leaders. So let us see what their qualities are. The first one is strategic thinking. Now, thinking, all of us think day in and day out, from morning till evening, we keep thinking. But how many of us think strategically? Now, what is strategic thinking? Strategic thinking means thinking on how to fulfill a goal, thinking about how we can reach the target, thinking about what are the steps that we should take to reach the target. See, it is thinking in a systematic way. That is called strategic thinking. That is important, isn't it? We should have a goal. We should have a plan how we can reach the goal. That is strategic thinking. Now, next is delegation. Now, it is not enough if we think. We should be able to delegate the task. We should know which task we should give to which person, isn't it? See, some people can do desk job very well. Some people can go out, talk with people very well. Some people can remember things very well. Some people can analyze things very well. So it is the duty of leader to identify each member of the team, what his strength is, what his weakness is. Now, allot tasks according to the strengths of that person. That will give you a lot of chance for success. Now, this is something where every leader has the skill to identify the skills of other person. Okay. Now, next is communication. This is very, very important because communication is like the lubricant, the oil, which keeps the machinery running very smooth. See, if you pour oil in the machine, it runs very smooth, isn't it? Now, similarly, communication is something which makes things run very smooth. Every leader should be a good communicator. You can be an introvert, you can be an extrovert, that doesn't matter. When it comes to work, you should be able to communicate what you want, isn't it? I'm an introvert personally, but as a teacher, I'm a good communicator. Why? Because it is important to communicate properly to the student. Okay, so communication is very important to connect different people. Now, next is integrity. Integrity is also very important for a leader. You should be able to keep your promises. You should be able to have a code of conduct, ethics, values, all these things. You should have a very good character first. Only then you can mold children around you, isn't it? Next, empathy. Empathy means understanding others, putting yourself in others' place and thinking about them, isn't it? Yeah, teachers should be strict. I agree. But teachers should also be understanding. We should not blindly lash out on others. We should always listen, willing to listen to people. Whether we agree or disagree, we should give them a chance to explain. That is very important, isn't it? When you give a chance to explain, the person feels heard, the person feels valued. And even when you say no, you should give appropriate reason. Then definitely people will follow you because you are empathetic, you're open minded. Okay. Next is flexibility. Flexibility means you should be willing to listen to people who are below you. Some people don't do that. Some people have a lot of problem listening to people who are below them. Now, we don't know. See, isn't it? Intellect is not anybody's property. Sometimes people who work below you may get better ideas than you. We have to accept that. We have to accept that. We have to respect that. We have to respect intellect wherever it comes from below, above, right, left, wherever. Okay. So that is flexibility, able to accept other people's ideas. And next, enthusiasm. You should be passionate about what you do, isn't it? See, if I am teaching, I should be passionate about teaching. I should go to the class thinking what I am going to teach today, how I am going to make them do it, how I am going to make them understand it, how better can I do this. Now, this sort of enthusiasm always helps you to shine in whatever you do. So enthusiasm is also important. Next is competence. It is not enough if we have enthusiasm. We should also be well prepared for the class. If I have a class tomorrow, I should be well prepared today itself. I should not go there and prepare. Okay. So competence is very important. In fact, it is competence which earns us respect. Even if we have all the above qualities, we don't have competence, people will not respect us. It is very important to be good at your job. That is the first and foremost thing. Whatever your subject is, you should be thorough with it. And you should constantly update yourself also. Keep up with the new trends. Okay, shared vision. This is actually a follow up of enthusiasm. If you have enthusiasm, You should also spread that enthusiasm to your colleagues as well as your students. You should have a shared vision. You should have a shared vision that, yeah, my students are going to be successful in this semester in all these subjects. That is some united vision you should have. Next is initiative. Whenever there is something new, please don't hesitate. Take initiative. Go forward. Encourage the students also to come forward. See, if you don't go forward, students won't come forward. So that is why we should be initiators first. Whatever competitions we are conducting in college, whatever new projects we are taking in college or school, wherever you're working, always take initiative. Be enthusiastic. Take the lead. Next is critical thinking. Now, whenever we make decisions as a teacher, regarding marks or regarding students' behavior or regarding talking with parents, talking with our heads of the department, whoever it is, always think critically. Think twice, thrice, go through it very thoroughly, and then you come to decision. Don't just take a decision on the spot or spontaneously. That is not correct. We should think very carefully because whatever we do will affect the future of a student. So that is why it is a great responsibility for the teacher. We need to be critical when we think. Okay, next is analytical thinking. Now, when you are teaching a subject, think analytically. See, suppose I am an English teacher. So when I am teaching a tenses or when I am teaching parts of speech, I try to take up different methods, see which works out. See, if I try to explain something step by step, how I am going to do it. First, shall I give you examples, or shall I give theory, or shall I make them do fill in the blanks, or shall I make them MCQs? Now, these are the different ways I think how better I can present my subject to the student. How better I can make them involved in what they are doing. Now, this is very important for a teacher. And next is discipline. Now, discipline is something we should have as teachers. We should be on time to the class. We should definitely finish the portions on time. Don't please never stretch yourself to extras. I know some subjects require that sometimes, but still try to avoid it as much as possible because I have seen students grumbling and complaining when we try to exceed. So it's always better to finish something within the given time. That makes them very happy. That makes them responsive. That makes them enthusiastic. See, a lot of extra work always really bugs people. So always have the discipline to finish everything on time. If something is unavoidable, we can understand, but still make it a point that you have the discipline to finish everything on time. Valuation, teaching, everything should be on time. Only then you can demand the students to be on time. See, if we are not on time, how can we demand them? Isn't it? So that is why self-discipline is very important to the teacher. Next is self-updating. This is also very important. This is connected to competence. As I told before, competence is the strength with which you can teach, the strength of your subject which you have, the knowledge about the subject that you have. Now, self updating is updating the previous knowledge that you have. That is also important. You should always be relevant to the times. You can't say I learned something 20 years back, I'm going to teach only that. No, there are new methods evolving every day, isn't it? So, at least every semester, attend some programs, professional programs. Try to understand what the current trends are. Join different forums. There are many online forums throughout the world. There are many teachers who are sharing their ideas, sharing their methods. So keep up with all that. Try to understand those and try to implement whatever you can to your classes also. Okay. Next is conflict management. Now, this is also important, isn't it? Sometimes students have conflicts and they come to us with those conflicts, and we should be very impartial when we guide them through this. And we should be able to resolve things without wounding anybody. Whatever it is, you should always do it transparently. Now, that is the best way I have found. Better be transparent. Whatever you do, explain things as they are. Don't think they are children. No. Children are very, very capable of understanding whatever we tell them. They are much, much better thinkers, especially nowadays children. So that is why whatever you do to manage the conflict, explain it to them transparently. People respect that. Next is empowering others. It is not enough if you come up in life. You should make your team also come up with you. That is also that also should be there, isn't it? If we have 4 or 5 same subject teachers, all 4 5 should help one another. That way we can empower one another, and that really helps the overall result. Not just us, it helps the overall result. It makes the workplace very interesting and it keeps things interesting. And next, inspiring. Yeah, if you empower others, you will become inspiring. That is the most easy method. Mostly people get inspired by people who lift up others also along with them, isn't it? So that is why be inspiring also. Okay, next, please. Yeah. It is not enough if you have leadership skills. You should also be able to manage those skills, isn't it? Because leadership is an ongoing process. You don't be a leader one day and stop. No. If you are a leader, you should be a leader always, isn't it? So, how to sustain this leadership? Now, these are the methods. Sustaining the leadership is a continuous process, and for this, first and foremost, we should adapt to change. As I told, always update yourself. Update yourself in everything, not just in subject. Update yourself in current affairs. Update yourself in methodologies. Update yourself in fashions. Update yourself in movies, everything. Update yourself so that you will be able to understand the world around you in a better way. Now, when you do that, you will be able to help yourself and your students well. So, that is why you should always be open to change. Next, managing leadership also is people management. Whenever, wherever we work, we should be culturally open minded. Include all people, include all kinds of people, all castes of people, all religions of people, all methods of people, whichever, wherever they are. Be open minded. Accept them as they are. Don't criticize, don't comment. Accept people as they are. Try to always say positive things. Try to encourage people in a positive manner. Don't try to bring down people. Okay. Now that will make you a good leader. Next, influence people. Now, children, we have a lot of influence on children. We may or may not know it. Sometimes it is very surprising, after 5 or 6 years, some student will suddenly message and tell you, madam, you told me that in class that day. It has helped me so much. See, recently on Teachers Day, I suddenly got a text from a student who finished his studies some 3 4 years back. So he messaged saying that one of my lab experiments helped him with his interview. I felt so happy because a student has that much of uh, uh, memory about us, whatever he has studied. And I was very surprised to learn that we have that much of influence on somebody's future. It's such a big responsibility, isn't it? So that is why whenever we talk in the class, whenever we teach in the class, we should be very, very careful because that will influence people's lives. Next, demonstrate. Now, whatever we are learning, whatever we are teaching, we should demonstrate. Now, if we are talking about punctuality, we should be punctual first. If we are talking about professional ethics, we should be ethical first. If we are talking about time management, we should manage time first, isn't it? So, only through demonstration. There is a saying, isn't it? Actions speak louder than words. So, children always, students always observe what we do, not what we say. So that is why we should be very careful about what we are doing because what we are doing will make a big impression on them, a lasting impression on them. So we should demonstrate properly. And next, involve. Involving is very, very necessary. Now, I am not saying we should involve in every aspect of students' life. That is not necessary. I think personally we should first involve ourselves in the academic life of the student. That is very, very essential. Now, beyond that, sometimes we have to involve ourselves personally also. If they have some problems, special problems or special needs, only then. Otherwise, academics should be our priority. Because when we involve ourselves in your academic performance, the student also will become involved. If we don't pay individual attention, I know it is difficult. In a class of 60 students, it is very difficult to pay individual attention. But still, at least those few who are not studying well, on those students, we can pay more attention because they need it. And mostly, what I have observed is if you pay close attention to these people, definitely the results will improve to some extent. I don't say they will become first class students, but they will better themselves. They will change some of the bad habits that they have study wise. Okay. So that is why involvement is very necessary. Now, next, teachers are leaders. How can we perform as leaders in our institutions, in the classroom? The first thing is we have to achieve educational goals. See, for this semester, we have this particular curriculum. We have to execute this. So, this is our educational goal. We have to reach it. Now, next, create a safe, welcoming learning environment. Now, this speaks about inclusivity. Always make students feel comfortable with you. Yeah, don't make them scared of you. That may work for some time, but that is in the long term it becomes difficult. So please don't scare them. Make them come to you with any problem. Make them feel safe and make them feel that you are approachable. Next, guide collective responsibilities in school practices, procedures, and policies. See, whatever the rules and regulations the school or the college has, make them follow it collectively. Make it a collective responsibility. Everybody is responsible for following the rules of the school, including myself. That is how we should present it to them. Next, assess educational strategies and the quality of resources. Now, quality of resources, unfortunately, is not very good in many institutions in our country. We should agree. Humbly agree. Because economically it is difficult for many institutions. So we can't change that because we are working there. We don't have management, ownership, or anything, isn't it? So the best we can do is make the best use of the resources we have. Whatever little resources we have, we can make the best use of them. Next, build goal directed learners. Learners always tell them, this is what I want from you. I want you to learn tenses. I want you to learn parts of speech. I want you to learn communication. So keep a specific target in front of the student. Say that you have to finish this in this time and make them learn towards that goal. So if you make it into small chunks and give it to them, definitely they can achieve it. Instead of saying these are all the things you have to learn, it is better you say give them one component for 2 days or a bigger component for a week. Usually I give them 1 week component. And at the end of the week, I give them a test, an open test, not something which they can learn it by heart and write. No, I give them open questions which make them think and write, which is not there in the notes. So give them such questions which will make them think and write. Then they will stop by hearting. Then they will start thinking and writing. So, like that, we have to drive them towards a goal. Record class observations and outcomes. This is for the teachers. We have to maintain a teaching journal. That's a very good practice. I request all the people also who are participating here to consider this idea. If you are already following, very good. Okay? Because this teaching journal, every day you note down, just little points you write. What are the things you felt you did well in the class? What are the points you think you need more improvement? Like this, if we write and keep, and at the end of the month, if we see, then definitely we will know how better to improve ourselves. It will help you, believe me, it will help you a lot. I always do this whenever I feel that I have to improve this part of my teaching. I will write it down and keep it. And I will see how better I can overcome this difficulty. Now, that really helps you as a teacher to grow. You can become better every year. Okay? And no matter, even if you have 20 years experience, 30 years experience, no problem. You can still improve. There is always room to improve. Okay. Next, use data to make informed decisions and improve outcomes. Yeah, this is the follow up of the previous point. Whatever you have written as your observations, use that data to make decisions to improve the outcomes of the students. Then you can get better pass percentage. Then you can make your students learn better, become better. Okay. Next. Yeah. Clarify common student misconceptions. Because I am an English teacher, I concentrate more on spellings. Mostly the commonly made spelling mistakes, the commonly made grammatical mistakes. These I discuss at one point of time during my class. That day I am teaching a few words. So wherever they can make possible mistakes, those I will tell them soon after lesson so that they will remember, oh, these are the things I should avoid. Okay, that will help them. Next, adapt curriculum content to correlate with advancements in modern society. Now, wherever I can make use of, I always make use of realia. Suppose I am teaching resume writing. I will bring some uh, advertisements for jobs from newspapers. If I am doing report writing, I will bring a small newspaper report from the newspaper and ask them to prepare a report on the topics that are there in the newspaper. So, like that, I try to integrate whatever is there happening in the society with what is happening in the class. That will make it feel very realistic. That will make them understand the relevance of our subject to their life. Next, generate attention grabbing creative curriculum. As far as possible, I don't say we don't have the right to change curriculum, isn't it? Most of us teach in universities or colleges where the syllabus is fixed, so we can't change it. But we can still make some creative changes. Suppose we had to teach descriptions, isn't it? Once. So what we did was I took some cell phones advertisements which are there on the websites, and I asked them to read it because they all love those gadgets, isn't it? So I asked them to read all those things about cell phone and write a description of the cell phone based on that. So they were able to write descriptions very easily because they had the help of that material. So that is why we have to make things more creative. If I simply ask them to write descriptions, they can't, isn't it? I selected a photo of a sports star or a film star, and I asked them to write the description of their face. That helped them, isn't it? So, like that, we can make things very creative in the class. And next, use innovative multimedia approaches. I think all of us are doing this, isn't it? We all take the help of computer, internet, and we present different videos, audios, and clippings, and all those things to make them understand concepts. Next is willing to alter a syllabus for optimal success. This to only to some extent we can do. As I have told, we don't have the right to change the syllabus, but definitely we can make little bit changes to make it work better for our students. Offers constructive feedback to others for professional development. This is also, I found, is very helpful to my students because my students themselves told me that whatever feedback I give them at the end of the lab has always helped them to improve. And for that, each and every performance, I keep a journal and I write, this is how you have performed. This is where you went good. This is where you did wrong. And I keep one page for every student. So each presentation, they can see how far they have made improvements for themselves. They feel so happy because the beginning of the semester, they are so awkward. Slowly, after a few presentations, we see that they are performing very well. So, like this, giving a constructive and systematic feedback always helps students. Okay, next. Yeah. The teacher also has a social responsibility, not just educational, social also. Now, what are they? Conduct inclusive conversations on social justice initiatives. We need not go into politics, but definitely we can discuss issues which are related to social and justice situations. When somebody is some ragging happens in somewhere in some newspaper, we read a news that ragging has happened. We can discuss that subject. Somewhere somebody is fallen prey to drugs. We can discuss that issue in the class and warn the children about all the bad things that can happen to them because of drugs. So, like that, we can make some inclusive social and justice conversations in the class. Next, network and unite individuals, groups, communities, and affiliates towards a common cause. Now, this Fortunately, it is happening. Many colleges and schools are working together as groups. We conduct competitions, we make social impact through some social uh, um, whatever causes, like we are doing Swachh Bharat, all these things. So those things can help the students in creating social awareness. Next is collaborates with administrators, colleagues, legislative readers, parents, and students. Now, a teacher is a kind of a bridge between parents and students, parents and management. In so many ways, teachers act like bridge. So it is our duty to make others understand what is happening really and to make them stakeholders in the success of the student, because the cooperation of the management, teacher, and parent is equally necessary for the success of the student, isn't it? So that is why we should take into consideration all the stakeholders. We should involve everybody. We should have free communication with all the involved parties for the success of the student. Next, share knowledge, content, educational resources, and tips for success with colleagues. I have already discussed this. It is not enough if you lift yourself, you should uplift others also along with you. So, for that, we need to discuss whatever we are learning and doing. Now, this is what we are doing here today, isn't it? We are sharing our views here in this on this platform. So, like this, we can share our views on different platforms and enjoy the success, enjoy the process of learning, the process of teaching together. Next, please. Tips for teacher. What are the tips that can be given to improve leadership skills? All the teachers, I believe, have leadership skills to some extent. Otherwise, we won't become teachers. We have leadership skills already. It just needs a little bit of shining or a little bit of honing, isn't it? So, what are the tips? The first one is model behavior. As I told you all at the beginning itself, competence is very important. We should be very, very thorough in our subject. We should become models, role models for our students in every aspect, because students will be observing us 24/7 from all angles whenever we are on campus or even outside campus. So that is why we should be a good role model first. And for that, we need the second point, self discipline. If we have self discipline, we can become role model. Next is value commitment. You should have value for the commitment you have made. The commitment that we have made is I am a teacher, I am going to teach these students. That is my commitment, isn't it? So I should respect my commitment towards my job. That is very, very important for me. Because if I don't commit myself to what I am doing, I cannot expect commitment from my students. Next, show gratitude. See, our colleagues help us in many ways. Our family helps us in many ways. Our management helps us in many ways. And students also help us in many ways. So we should be thankful to each and every one appropriately. We need not overdo it, but definitely we should give credit where it is due. Next, be adaptive. It is very important to be very flexible in whatever we are doing. We should be able to accept new ideas from any level and always improve your communication skills. The more you communicate better, the more you will be accepted as a leader. Good communication makes good leaders. And next, diligent and impartial. Always work very hard. Never spare yourself in anything. Don't be compassionate to yourself. Be very, very strict to yourself first, because we need to be very diligent as teachers, and we need to be impartial whenever we are assessing students, whenever we are assessing their subjects or papers. We need to be very impartial. Next, please. Yeah. Now, before I conclude, I want to give two case studies. There are many case studies actually which are done on the leadership skills of teachers. But I thought I will incorporate just two because of the time constraint. Now, these two case studies, let me tell you, they are taken taken from the research thesis presented by two different groups of people. Okay. Now, these case studies, they are done on a sample of 250 students, 250 teachers, the first case study, and the sample of around 150 schools in the second case study. Okay. And in both case studies, they have asked teachers, they have interviewed them, they have given them questionnaires, they have attended those classes, and they have recorded those materials. And after all that, they have come to some conclusions about how leadership can be achieved in teachers. So that is what this is about. So there are two case studies. The first case study I have chosen is from the International Journal of Teacher Leadership, From Teachers to Teacher Leaders, a case study. This was done in Canada. Okay. So after all the studies that they have done, they have reached to four conclusions. So what are these four conclusions? The first one is content management makes good teacher leaders. Now, this point is directly related to the point called competency, which I have already mentioned. See, I told, isn't it? Competency is very important. You should be competent in your subject, isn't it? Now, that is what they also have found out. They said that teachers who have good competence become good leaders. So the first thing they have told is competency is very, very important. And this they have done after talking with 250 teachers. So you can now see how important competency is. There is data also which is validating my point. Okay. Next, gain better understanding when they teach different levels. Now, they said that instead of teachers who taught the same level of class, the teachers who have taught different levels, they have gained more experience, they have gained more skills, they have become better leaders. Why? Very simple reason. They are able to manage different kinds of people. Okay. Now, this also we have discussed when I talked about sustaining leadership, how well we manage people. Now, we can manage people well when we teach different levels. I personally am very fortunate because I taught in almost all levels. I taught in school level, preschool level, school level, intermediate level, degree level, university level. I was able to teach all these things in a short span of time. Very lucky. If it is not possible for you, it is okay. It doesn't matter. But what I am telling is teaching a different level of students will always give us a better perspective. That's what I feel. Because when you teach different levels, you will get to know children from different age groups, isn't it? Then you will know how to manage different age groups better. Just practically, I'm telling. That's it. Please, please don't mind anybody. I'm not making any allegations that the people who teach same level are bad teachers. Please don't misunderstand me. That is not my point. My point is it gives you, if you teach multi levels, it gives you a better perspective. That's it. Okay. I hope I am not misunderstood. Now, next is attending professional passion. It is very important for us to pursue our passions. Our passion may be anything. It can be music, it can be writing poetry. If you pursue these passions, you will become very strong emotionally. And when you become strong emotionally, definitely you will be able to handle your students in a more matured manner. So that way, that helps. Next is collaborative methods in institutions. Now, it is very, very essential for the entire team in the school or college to work together. Now, when we collaborate well, the results are really very good. So, that is why collaboration with other faculty also helps teachers to become good leaders. So, these are the four findings that they have found from their first case study. Now, can we have the next case study? Yeah. The next case study is a case study of teacher leadership in an elementary school. This they have done at a elementary level of education. And what they found out was developmental focus. They felt that the students, because they are elementary school kids, they should focus on development of the skills of the student because they are very, very small children. They need lot of help, isn't it? So people who are focusing more on developing the skills of the little children, they become good student leaders. I mean, teacher leaders. Okay. Next, recognition. Now, when the efforts of the teachers are recognized by the management, by the colleagues, by the students, it is a big boost for the teacher, isn't it? Then definitely the teacher will shine as a leader. And next is autonomy. Every management should give at least a little bit of freedom to the teacher to conduct classes or to incorporate the creative elements into the curriculum. Fortunately, my management always encouraged me. So that is why I was able to incorporate so many creative elements into the curriculum. They have always supported me and my colleagues. I'm very happy with that. And I'm sure many managements also do that. So there should be a little bit of autonomy given to the teachers. And next, collegiality. Working with your colleagues, collaborating with them. This we were able to do. This also we were able to do to some extent in some laboratory components. In lessons, it is very difficult to do that. But in laboratory components, we were able to do that. And I'm happy to say that collegiality also worked. And next, open communication. This I have already discussed. We need to have open communication with the management, with the students, and with the parents. Then the teachers can be a good teacher leaders. People who do these things can be good teacher leaders. Okay. So these are the two case studies. And next, yes, please. Those who educate children well are more to be honored than parents, for these only gave life those the art of living well. So this is a quote by Aristotle. He says that teachers should be given a position higher than parents because they have molded the lives of the children. So that is what teaching is. Teaching is a very noble profession. We should all be very proud to be teachers and we should all be very responsible to the position that is given to us, because teachers are indeed nation builders. So, with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you for your patient listening. If you have any questions, you can ask.